One was a tragedy. It's going to be really hard to get an A star on. So, that being said, let's make sure that same tragedy doesn't happen with paper two. We're going to look at the 2019 paper. Okay. Vision Spring, I think it's glasses. Oh, it says tobacco paper. I don't know. That's going to be an average rate of return. Warbury Parker sells designer glasses. Okay, cool. We got it. Explain one reason why glasses may prefer to stay small. This is a niche little poor part of the spec that I don't like. If you actually go on reasons for saying small, it says e-commerce is a reason, and that's just not a reason, is it? It's something that facilitates staying small, but it's not a reason to stay small. You're going to want to talk about owner's objectives. If I see anyone writing about e-commerce, I swear to God, um, imagine you own a little surfing business in the coast of Australia and you make all of these surfboards by hand and people start liking them and want to buy them and it's cool until some guy wants to buy 5,000 and you're really going to struggle to do them all. So you're going to have to hire somebody else, which means taking away from what you truly love. The business grows, lose control. And so you're not directly involved in the business anymore. And that would be sad, won't it? That's a reason to stay small. Other than that, it's fucking inferior. Just grow, bro, and make more money. Okay. That's a nice, easy little four marker. Average rate of return. Knew it. You can do it yourself. I'm not doing any calculations. I don't have my pen. I'm just going through essays. Okay. Decision to finance using retained profits. What are retained profits? It is the money kept at the end of the year, the profit for the year after tax that is not sent back to investors via dividends. The remaining part. And the advantage is if you use it to finance projects such as growth, you don't need to pay it back. There's no interest repayments on it. You don't have to give away any equity for it. It's already there. But so you can stretch that out over a paragraph. I've given you 3 points. But what's the issue? Well, there could be some liquidity issues. Okay. How so? Well, this money currently is cash. What are your points of the liquidity, right? You got cash, money in the bank, um, debtors, and inventory. So this is cash, and by growing, let's say expanding, let's say we open 10 stores, that's going to increase our fixed costs. And if we have to employ labor in the stores, just general operating costs are going to increase. Now, if your cash is hindered, you're gonna have less money. You're gonna have less working capital, right? Um, so yeah, you gotta be careful of that. And another reason is that if you use like venture capital, for example, you get the skills and knowledge gain, which you're not gonna get from using retained profit. Plus, you could put it into something else. It might already have been planned. You might have to do some capex, budgeting, some capex forecasting adjustments. So yeah, that's basically it. Nice, simple 10 marker. Corporate social responsibility. Lovely 12. Let's. I don't know who Warbury Palmer is. I didn't read the extract. You should read the extract. It's a good idea. What is corporate social responsibility? Well, it is a business taking on the notion for the obligation to be more environmentally friendly and provide more sustainable products and reduce waste, essentially. Um, this is a lovely little question. There's so many points that you can talk about. Number one, it's all about profits, right? It says profits in the question. So link everything back to profits. Let's say we're going to use more sustainable raw materials. This means that environmentally friendly consumers will be more willing to pay for the product. They're going to get into the market. Any current media backlash they have from not using sustainable products will deteriorate, and that will be annulled. And you can say people that were a little bit iffy beforehand aren't going to be, so they have a wider consumer base, which means greater sales volume, more market share. Just go down that road, right? But this may not necessarily be the case because what's your about? I don't want to get into paragraph two yet because paragraph two is also this may not necessarily be the case. But your evaluative point there, your little however, would be that people might not be willing to switch like from rivals. So like, and the whole idea was that they could poach rival clients as well. But they may not be able due to brand value and stuff like that. If consumers don't switch, there could be heavy capital investment without a significant ROI. So many consumers might prefer to see investment in current things, such as the functionality of the product rather than sustainability measures. Then paragraph two, it's a cost, baby. It costs money. There's a lot of costs actually. There's little hidden costs. Talk about the financial one, but if you want to get into business and you really want to understand how businesses work, there's like relationship costs, right? Imagine you've got currently got a supplier that's giving you all your raw materials, and you say you want to use some other raw material or something like that, and he says, I can't source that for you. You're gonna have to switch suppliers. You might have built up years of trade credit with this guy. You might build up years of trust and loyalty, and your systems are integrated and you've got all payroll. Your employees know the whole team and everything like that's all lost. So you've got those sorts of costs as well. But you've got current production costs. It could be more expensive raw materials. You might have to alter the manufacturing processes. Um, you might have to move labor. You could be producing everything in Xinjiang and Bangladesh and charging low prices and low wages. And so you might have to move that production abroad, which can be costly. So yeah, there's a lot of costs. Um, but this may not necessarily be the case because they can pass it on to the consumers. They can say, "Hey, we're making this. You got to pay more." But of course, there is a willingness question behind that. But the way I'd love to look at this is that in the long run, it's likely a necessary investment as regulatory restrictions will tighten. So they'll gain a first mover by doing it now. And so their cost will be lower now as opposed to the long run. What do I mean by that? Well, derived demand. Essentially, I don't know what this, okay, glasses. Let's say glasses are made with some polyfiber called Trambler. And Trambler is actually really bad for the environment. And everyone currently making their glasses with Trambler. And some guy comes out with this new poly something, and it's like, hey, it's called Tombola, and it's really good for the environment actually. And he's currently charging £20 a unit. And this business, Warbury, comes across and goes, "Oh, Tombola sounds alright actually. That's kind of good." And they start buying it at £20 per unit. They go through that process. They might even do a backwards vertical integration and buy this company out, reduce it down to £15 per unit. Let's say they do that. And then in 10 years' time, the government scientist says, hey, Tramble is like really fucking bad. So we're going to no one can use it. Everyone's got to use Tombola now. All the current people will have to then switch and go, oh, we need to buy Tombola. They go to Warbury, they own the production of Tombola. And they say, hey, we would like your Tombola, please. And he says, yeah, it's £40 a unit. They have the market gain, right? So it's beautiful little question. Beautiful little question. Little conclusion. It's a 12, given the market is dynamic or whatever the extract says. I don't know. Being the first to adapt will be beneficial because the market's changing constantly. But it does beg the question if consumers are willing to pay higher prices or if they'll switch to competitors in the short run. So yeah, just trying to look at long run, short run gain, but in the long run, we are looking at intellectual property, patents, and significant market power. So beautiful 12 marker. That's 12 for 12 there. Yeah. Sell in the high income market or the low income market? Which one's going to achieve growth? Mm, that's a That's a tough one. You can talk about market growth. Basically, it's like what your objective is there. You're going to be looking at like in the lower income markets, there's going to be a higher volume of sales, but in the higher income markets, the margins are going to be better. You're going to be looking at competition, higher markets, higher income markets, everything's going to need to be higher quality. So there's quite a few things you're going to be looking at there. So, if we develop in the high income market, let's say, on average, we're going to see higher profit margins. Um, they're going to be willing to, they're going to be less price sensitive and be willing to pay for premium prices, such as like, I don't know, branded lenses or eye care products, whatever. It fits the existing brand image. Repeat purchases. So all of that sort of stuff. You can do diversification, but the disadvantage is there's going to be higher development costs. Everything's going to need to be of high quality. Um, there's going to be lots of competition in the market because, well, if it's higher prices, of course, there's going to be more supply. Market size could be limited, um, as opposed to the low income market. By focusing on only high income consumers, the business may restrict the number of potential customers. I think that's good for that. That's your P1, P2. And if we sell in the lower income market, it's a form of market development, right? It's a much larger market. There's more people that earn a lower income than a higher income across the globe. Um, so they can increase their sales volume significantly. Um, More brand awareness. Large volumes may help with economies of scale, lower average costs. You've got the potential for rapid growth as economies grow. um Lower development costs. There won't need to be as much R&D spending. Makes the strategy less risky than developing contact lenses and stuff. So yeah, you're good there. um Disadvantages, well, lower profit margins. There's a risk to the brand image. If they start selling in a lower income market, it could damage their current reputation because it could make premium customers less attracted to the business. There's still going to be some intense competition. So, yeah, and then just pick which one of these you think to do, whether it's the contact lenses or the low income. I would go with the contact lenses because it builds on the company's existing reputation. And yeah, it just could generate higher long-term profitability. Um, it supports more sustainable growth than rapid growth without damaging the brand. So yeah, nice little question there, I think. Um, that one's nice. Funny marker. Cool. Cash flow forecast here. Zara. Right, so we're not doing the calculations. We're going straight into the essays here. JIT production. Hmm. I don't like JIT production. Well, what is it? It's just in time. It's an inventory system, a manufacturing system where products are received only when they're needed. Okay. So we're going to have lower inventory costs because they're going to keep little stock. So especially if you've got perishable goods, um, lower inventory costs. So there's going to be more storage spacing. They don't have to spend as much money on that, or warehousing, or insurance, or security. All of those things go away. Less waste. Fewer unsold goods, less obsolescence. Um, yeah, production becomes leaner and more efficient. Improved cash flow. You can talk about higher efficiency. Um, you can actually talk about that. Well, I wouldn't talk about it, but like a point would be that if production is continuous, then defects are identified quite quickly, and so there could be better quality products. Um, Greater flexibility, but The limit is, they're going to struggle to adapt to changes in consumer demand and market trends. Um, so I guess less flexibility actually. And so yeah, we can talk about that. And you may not have enough on time. Supplier issues could be real issues. You're leaving it down to the bare bone, like literally, oh, I've got one top left and orders coming in an hour. And then they say, hey, we actually can't do it for 2 days. That's an issue. That is a big issue. So, talk about that. Nice. Moving on. Scenario planning. Okay. This is a business. I'm trying to come up with a good definition here. Scenario planning is preparing for different possible future scenarios. It's a strategic management thing. Okay. Thing. By looking at risk and trends and stuff and developing scenarios for strategies. So that's scenario planning. Okay. Um, Talking about ASOS, so we're looking at the e-commerce market. So okay, usefulness of scenario plan. Well, it can help manage changes in demand. So fashion trends change quickly. So we can be looking at social media trends. We can be looking at seasonal demand or influencer culture. And scenario planning is going to allow to help for sudden increases in demand. They might be able to go, what would happen if this got a million orders, and then just be able to, do that. It links to our JIT production. They've likely got things in place for that. Um, Let me think. Um, Financial planning. Yeah, you can have like planning for currency exchange rate changes or reduce consumer confidence. You know, financial planning, how it will affect your profits and your costs and how you're going to run the business day to day. Mm, But it's expensive, it's time consuming, it may be inaccurate, you might be overcomplicating stuff. So yeah, it's you just write about those points. Nice little 12. So yeah, cool. What's the 20? TQM. TQM versus quality control. I'm back. Sorry, I was just getting a water. Okay, so what is it? TQM versus quality control. Okay. So TQM, total quality management, is continuous improvement and preventing defects, um, where all employees are responsible for quality. And then quality control is inspecting products to identify the defects after production. So you're gonna have like inspectors and managers and stuff like that that are gonna check everything. So at this advantages of TQM, well, you're guaranteed improved product quality. Continuous improvement is going to reduce all defects and increase the reliability. That means better customer satisfaction. You're going to have reduced waste. Um, Employees are going to feel like they're involved because they've all got a job in it. So there's going to be better motivation. You're going to have a long-term cost savings because it's better to find it at the beginning than at the end, if that makes sense. But it's expensive to implement. It's time consuming. Um, some employees might not want to do it. They might resist the new working methods. It requires continuous commitment. If management stops supporting it, then it fails. So, that's TQM. And then quality control, well, you're still going to have the benefits that we just spoke about. It's going to detect bad products. It's going to protect the brand reputation. It's easier to introduce than TQM, and ensure standards are met. The guys that are checking are likely to be checking thoroughly. Whereas if you're checking at all points of production and you're trusting the employees, well, you might not be checking as thoroughly. You know, some guy's just built something and then he's like, all right, I'll look over it now. Is he really, or is he just gonna go, seems good? Probably the seems good. So it ensures that products are checked against specific requirements. But the disadvantages are problems are found later on, like I said earlier, not at the beginning. Higher costs from waste. You know, these things are going to need to be repaired now. Like you're looking at a car here, right? Um, the employees aren't as involved. Doesn't prevent defects. So like it might not find the actual issue. The issue could be like from the very get go, something's going on in the production line. And it's not identifying that, it's just saying, hey, there's a problem with the exhaust manifold, we gotta fix this car. It could be like the whole supply that got sent in of the scrap metal isn't the right size or something like that, and so it's bad. But it doesn't tell you that, because you don't know which part it's coming from. So yeah, nice easy paper here. Nice easy paper. Good luck, guys. If you got any questions for paper two, hit me up. Paper two is my paper. That's my goat. So yeah, I will be doing another one of these on Monday evening. And yeah, so let's just get that A star.